Today we'll be making this PopTart card that can be used as a happy birthday card or a thank you card or really any type of card that you want it to be. For this project, you're going to need the Let's Toast stamp set from Lawn Fawn, ink, I'm using VersaFine, a stamp pad, tape runner, paintbrush, and water, and you're also going to need watercolor markers, I'm using Tombow, a card base and envelope, and the PicScan silhouette sheet as well as a silhouette and computer. If you don't have those, you can always cut these shapes out by hand, or you could use the die set that match. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take the toaster stamp from the stamp set as well as the PopTart stamp, and I'm going to use my stamping block and my VersaFine ink to stamp them on a piece of white cardstock. You could use watercolor paper for this as well, because we are going to be watercoloring this later. You don't have to, of course, and you could just use the cardstock like I'm doing. A quick tip is any parts that don't show up with the ink you can always fill in with a fine tip pen. So remember, this part is completely optional, but for those of you using the PicScan sheet, just make sure to varnish it down very well. You can use a bone folder as well, but if you don't press it down very well, it could come off during the printing and then you're going to have to start all over again, which is a pain. So just to be extra sure, I'm also going to take some washi tape and put it on the corners just to make sure it doesn't move. So now that it's ready, take a picture of it with your phone, making sure to get the whole thing in the picture, and then airdrop it to your computer. Once you pull up the Silhouette program, click PicScan and import image from file. So I'm continuing without the calibration, and then you just wait for your picture to load up onto your screen. So once your image is loaded to the screen, go to the butterfly button and click Select Trace Area, where you're just going to select the shapes that you want to cut out. Then click Trace Outer Edge so that it doesn't cut out the inside part. Then after you do that, click on the star button and then select your shapes and then click Offset, and then put an offset by 0.025 inches, which is my preferred, but you can always do something different. Then you're going to go up into the top screen, click Object, and release the compound path so that they're separate objects. Then you have to go in and manually delete each of the inner tracings on your shapes. Now head over to your send screen and turn on the silhouette. Go ahead and load it in the usual way. Now that it's loaded, you can hit send and go ahead and start. So now I'm going to use those Tombow markers and start coloring in my shapes. So the PopTart, I'm going to color it with brown around the edges, and I'm going to do white frosting with rainbow sprinkles. Of course, you can color this any color you want. You can make any flavor. This is just what I'm doing to make this specific type of card. For the toaster, I'm basically just gonna shade it in with various types of gray, using the water when I need to blend things out. So now I'm going to use a cutting machine called the guillotine to prepare the paper for my card. So my card has a 4 1/4 width, so I cut each of my papers, the wall and the floor, to that width, and then I decided since the card was 5 1/2 inches tall, or the height, I wanted to have 1 inch of floor and 4 1/2 inches of wall. So I go ahead and cut it to that measurement, but you can always choose what ratio you want of floor to wall. The only thing you have to have constant is you want to make sure that it's the same width as your card base. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my tape runner and I'm just going to tape my wall and then floor on in that order, because if there's any overlap, it looks a lot weirder if the wall overlaps the floor rather than if the floor overlaps the wall, which seems more natural. Now I'm going to lay out how I want it to go, and I'm basically going to put the toaster on the side and have the PopTart just like popped out of the toaster. I'm going to use my Tombow marker to draw in a couple crumbs around the toaster so it seems a little bit more realistic. So then I'm just going to use my tape runner, and again I'm just going to tape them on and make sure to press them down firmly. So now at this point, if you mess up, it's kind of all over and the entire card is ruined and you're gonna have to start over. So I don't want to have that chance, so I'm gonna use a stamp platform to stamp the final sentiment on instead of stamping by hand. So make sure you adhere it down with the magnet, and I'm just going to take the word strips that I want to use and I'm going to put them so that the flat sticky side faces up, and I'm just going to arrange them how I want on the card. Once you've arranged them that way on the card, what you're going to do is you're going to take the top part and press it down so that now when you stamp it, it'll be in the exact position that you wanted it to be in. So now I'm just going to ink with my VersaFine ink, and I'm just going to ink it up, and then I'm going to apply the pressure that will stamp the sentiment on. I hope you guys liked this PopTart card tutorial, and I hope yours turned out as well as I think mine did. Please leave a like and subscribe for more card videos, and don't forget to be crafty!